Some cities look fine from the outside, maybe even inviting. But once you dig a little deeper, the reality can be a whole lot different. Today, we're going to uncover 8 places in Pennsylvania that you might want to think twice about before moving. These are cities where crime, poverty, and a lack of opportunity paint a very different picture than the travel guides or real estate ads. And trust me, you might be surprised at some of the names on this list. But before we dive in, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We're pulling back the curtain, and you won't want to miss what's coming next. Now let's dive in. Chester, located just outside Philadelphia, is one of those cities that often makes the do not move list in Pennsylvania. While it has a rich industrial history and some passionate community members, the challenges here are hard to ignore. Chester consistently ranks as the most dangerous city in the state, with a violent crime rate of about 16 crimes per 1,000 residents, more than double the Pennsylvania average. Property crime is also a serious issue, and overall, the city's crime rate is over 100% higher than the state's average. Beyond crime, Chester faces long-term economic struggles, underfunded schools, and visible signs of poverty like abandoned houses and limited job opportunities. For newcomers, that translates to higher risks, fewer resources, and less stability compared to other areas. If you're thinking about moving to Pennsylvania, Chester is definitely a place you might want to think twice about. Philadelphia is Pennsylvania's largest city and offers a lot in terms of culture, history, and opportunity. But if you're considering a move, you should be aware of the challenges. Philly consistently struggles with high crime. The violent crime rate is about 11 per 1,000 residents, which is well above the state average, and property crime also sits significantly higher than most other Pennsylvania cities. Traffic, congestion, and parking woes can make daily life frustrating, and the cost of living is higher than surrounding areas. Many neighborhoods deal with poverty rates over 20%, and schools in certain districts are chronically underfunded. While there are some beautiful and thriving parts of Philadelphia, the disparities between safe, affluent neighborhoods and struggling, high-crime ones are stark. For someone looking for a fresh start in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia's challenges in crime, affordability, and livability make it a city worth reconsidering. Just outside of Pittsburgh, McKeesport was once a steel industry powerhouse. Today, though, it's one of the hardest-hit communities in western Pennsylvania. The decline of steel mills left behind widespread unemployment and poverty. The city's poverty rate hovers around 33%, which is more than double the state average, and crime rates remain concerning. Violent crime is nearly twice the national average, and property crime isn't far behind. Abandoned buildings and blight are common throughout McKeesport, which adds to the sense of instability for newcomers. While some residents are working hard to revitalize the area, the lack of economic opportunity makes it difficult for people moving here to build a secure future. Between limited job prospects, struggling schools, and high crime, McKeesport can be a tough place to settle down if you're planning a long-term move to Pennsylvania. Reading is a city that often surprises people because it's fairly large, with over 95,000 residents, and sits in Berks County. Unfortunately, it has a reputation for economic struggles. Reading's poverty rate is staggering, with over 35% of residents living below the poverty line, making it one of the poorest cities of its size in the entire country. Crime also follows those economic hardships, with both violent and property crime rates above state and national averages. Schools in Reading face overcrowding and underfunding issues, which can be a deal-breaker for families looking to relocate. On top of that, Reading has struggled with unemployment, and the cost of housing, while cheap, reflects the lack of demand rather than opportunity. For newcomers who want stability, career growth, and safety, Reading presents a number of obstacles that make it a less desirable option compared to other Pennsylvania cities. All right. I want to pause here for just a second and get you involved. What do you think of the cities we've covered so far? Do you agree, or would you add others to this list? I love hearing from people who live in these areas or who've moved away, because your perspective adds so much. And if there's a place you'd like me to cover in the future, or maybe even a whole different state, let me know in the comments. While you're down there, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps the channel grow, and it lets me keep bringing you more of these deep dives. Pottstown, located in Montgomery County, might look appealing at first glance. It's close to Philadelphia and has more affordable housing compared to the suburbs nearby. But beneath the surface, Pottstown faces issues that make it a tricky place to move. The city's crime rate is 40% higher than the national average, with property crime especially high. Pottstown also suffers from an uneven local economy. Jobs can be hard to come by, and many residents commute out of town for work, which adds to traffic and transportation headaches. Schools in Pottstown rank below average, and blight is visible in some neighborhoods, which impacts both community pride and property values. While the affordability of housing may draw people in, the trade-off is higher crime, weaker schools, and a less stable economy. For someone looking for a safe, long-term home base in Pennsylvania, Pottstown isn't the best bet. Johnstown is another city with a proud industrial history, but today it's mostly known for decline and struggle. Located in Cambria County, Johnstown has a poverty rate of about 38%, one of the highest in the state. The economy has been stagnant for years, with limited job growth and ongoing population loss. This kind of economic stagnation brings with it higher crime rates and declining property values. The violent crime rate in Johnstown is above the state average, and while not as extreme as places like Chester or Philadelphia, it's still a real concern. Housing here is extremely affordable, but that's largely because demand is so low, and resale value can be a big issue if you ever plan to move again. For families, schools in Johnstown are underfunded, and opportunities are limited. If you're relocating to Pennsylvania, Johnstown's lack of growth and stability make it a tough sell. Wilkes-Barre sits in the Wyoming Valley of northeastern Pennsylvania, and while it has a scenic backdrop with mountains and rivers, the city faces a lot of challenges. The crime rate here is 74% higher than the national average, with both violent and property crime being major concerns. The local economy has struggled for decades since the decline of coal mining, and while there are employers in the area, wages tend to be lower than the state average. Poverty is also significant. Nearly 28% of residents live below the poverty line, which puts strain on schools and public resources. For newcomers, this translates to fewer opportunities and more risks, especially if you're raising a family. While the region itself has some attractive qualities, Wilkes-Barre as a city has been slow to rebound, and the combination of crime, poverty, and limited economic growth makes it less appealing for long-term relocation. Allentown is Pennsylvania's third-largest city, and it has seen some revitalization in recent years, but it still faces significant challenges. On the surface, Allentown offers affordability compared to Philadelphia or New York suburbs, but crime is a persistent issue. The city's crime rate is about 50% higher than the national average, and violent crime is a serious concern in certain neighborhoods. Schools in the Allentown district have been criticized for overcrowding and limited resources, making it less attractive for families. The poverty rate sits around 25%, which affects overall quality of life and economic growth. While downtown Allentown has seen some redevelopment, many parts of the city continue to struggle with blight and disinvestment. So while Allentown might seem like a convenient and affordable choice for newcomers, the crime, schools, and poverty levels are big drawbacks that make it less than ideal for a permanent move. And that's the list. 8 cities in Pennsylvania you might want to avoid if you're thinking about making a move. Every city has good people and good moments, but when it comes to starting fresh somewhere new, safety, stability, and opportunity matter. Hopefully, this gave you something to think about before making any big decisions. If you found this video helpful, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, and make sure notifications are on so you never miss what's coming next. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.